Hello, everybody. Peter the Booklover here, and this is Book Talk. This is where I talk about the books I recently read. And in this episode, this is Book Talk episode 19. I'm going to talk about All Quiet on the Western Front, a book about World War I, and it's pretty interesting. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. I'm Peter the Book Lover. I like to read books and I like to talk about books, so I decided to make videos talking about the books I recently read. And I also make videos talking about the movies that I recently watched. And I recently read All Quiet on the Western Front, and I'm going to talk about it. But before I get into the book, I want to actually thank everybody for being here. You're really cool for giving me your time, and I appreciate you being here. So let's get into this. Okay, so this is All Quiet on the Western Front. This is written by Erich Maria Remarque, and this book came out in 1929. And what this book is about a young man that is drafted into World War I. And he's drafted, well, he joins the army pretty much when he's like 17 years old. And this is about the time when he's 20 years old. So he's a veteran, and he's been fighting the war for quite some time now. And this is like all the experiences that he experiences. And this is really being upfront in the trenches. I mean, you spend a lot of time to where they're in the trenches. There's also a lot of times when they're not in the trenches and the life they live. There's friends that you have that die on you, and a lot of really intense scenes in this book. This book was very entertaining, I gotta say. And there's some scenes in this book that are pretty horrific. This book is a book to where you definitely do not want to be the person. The main character of this book, that is Paul Brummer. He's the narrator. He's telling you everything that's going on. And he goes through some horrific things in this book. I mean, one of the first things you deal with is when they're like, just the friendship on the downtime when they're not in the trenches. And then the second chapter goes into one of their friends that's about to lose his foot, and he's pretty much on his deathbed, and one of his friend actually wants to get his boots, and not because this guy is a selfish person and that he's like a person that doesn't care, because this guy is a person that cares, but boots are a commodity that you just don't want to pass up. So he really wants these boots, and the way they describe his friend just getting ready to be at the end is pretty crazy. And him losing the limbs, and it starts out pretty brutal. And then this goes on to where you start to get to know a certain group of friends. He's got a clique of friends that you get to know, and some of these friends don't make it, and it's pretty brutal when you lose friends. And there's a lot of time to where they're in the front and they're constantly getting bombarded with shells, and it's pretty horrifying for what they have to go through this book. And it's pretty graphic and pretty really up close to the violence. There's a really interesting scene in this book to where he's in a ditch, and somebody actually jumps in the ditch, and his first reaction is to kill him. So he stabs this person, and then this person actually winds up living. And the person that he was trying to kill, he actually tries to save this person. And he's really upset when he loses this person. And he sees this as another person. In the beginning, when, before he knows him, he doesn't even see him as a person. And there's a lot of the interesting thing when there's younger people that join, and it's like their first time being in the front in the trenches, and they're actually being surrounded by all the gunfire and everything. These people are terrified, And it's kind of funny because these people are like 20 years old. They're still very young, and they're just like, oh, these people don't know what to do, but because they have this experience of fighting this war, they know a lot of things and the tricks they have to surviving. And yeah, this book has some very rough parts to it. This also has a period to where he goes on leave and he actually gets to spend some time at home with his family, and it's pretty interesting on how he feels about things, and he's not really comfortable in his old place because things don't feel the same, because he's been exposed to so much death and so much violence and so many things, and it's like he's definitely not the same person. And near the end of this book, this has one of the most heartbreaking endings that you could have in this book. It's very heartbreaking and it's pretty shocking the way this book ends. And this book, pretty much, he makes it through the whole war, and this ends to where it's at the end of the war. You know, and this is World War One. He's a German fighting against the French and the Russian people. And there's also talks about people that get captured and, you know, how they deal with the prisoners. And they don't mistreat the prisoners. They actually give them cigarettes and stuff. And yeah, this is a very eye-opening book. An interesting thing about Erich Maria Remarque is that he actually spent 5 years in the trenches. And he wrote this book in 1929. So he had a little bit of time after he's experienced this stuff. And that's why the details of this book are very accurate and very, very lifelike of what it's like to be a soldier in World War One. And it's a fantastic book, and I highly recommend it. It's a very easy book to read. It's not very complicated. It's written in the plainest language that you could have, and it's very interesting. And I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. All Quiet Along the Western Front is a book that I highly recommend. And one of the things on the cover, it says the greatest war novel of all time, and that's pretty accurate because this was a very, very good war novel, and you definitely do not want to be the main character of this story. Being Paul Bremer would be pretty awful. So that's it. All Quiet on the Western Front. I want to thank everybody for being here. If you've liked the video, please do me a favor and hit the like button. Let me know that you enjoyed the content. It means a lot to me. Please let me know what you think. If you want to recommend another World War One book that's better than this, or if you've read this book, let me know what you think about this book. I'd love to hear your opinion on this book. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. I am making new content all the time, and it means a lot to me to have more subscribers. And I really work hard on making my videos entertaining. And that's about it. You know, I want to thank you for coming by, and I am Peter the Book Lover. I want to thank you for coming by, and I hope to see you in the next video. See you next time.